The GIM Channel podcast, bringing you the big picture on geoscientific information management through interviews and discussions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the GIM Channel. I'm Sarah Mitchell, your host, and I'm joined by my co-host, Misha Stacker, the content marketing specialist from Acquire. Hi, Misha.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, everyone.
We're also joined today by our guest speaker from Kinross Gold Corporation, Jenni Pfeiffer. Jenni's worked in mining and exploration for 12 years, of which 3 of those have been with Kinross, working directly with global operations to improve geological data management capabilities and processes. She's joining us today all the way from Toronto, Ontario. Welcome, Jenni. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Jenni, first, before we get too far into this, tell us a little bit about yourself, your current role, and your focus at Kinross Gold Corporation.
Sure. I work for the Technical Services Group in Toronto for Kinross, which is the team's made up of geologists, engineers, and metallurgists. I work with the Geology Group, and our goal is to provide technical support to sites in each of our respective areas. As part of the Geology Group, we have a small data systems team, and so we work with sites to improve their processes and systems and provide whatever help we can, especially with development of people.
Thanks, Jenni. Thanks for that insight. You actually joined us earlier this year. We were all over at PDAC over in Toronto. And at the convention, you came and did a presentation on the Acquire booth during the conference. And you were talking at the time about the GIM processes and how Kinross basically did this big data audit. And you came up with some great ways to drive change in the sites that you're working with your data teams. Can you talk us a little bit give us some background about that presentation that you did at PDAC and what that was about?
Yeah, so we've worked with Acquire over the last 6 to 9 months, I guess, to do these GIM assessments at our material sites. So that's our 3 most important sites materially. We visited every site with 2 guys from Acquire, and they looked at the process that Acquire's been developing, I guess, first in Australia and then now coming to North America. I think we were the first major company to take this on. So during this process, the guys from Acquire interviewed a whole series of people at each site, and that's everyone from the tech services manager down through the layers to the technicians that are on the ground every day collecting data. And through this process, they're looking at or ask questions about GIM organization, processes, people, and technology. And the reason we wanted to do this was because we realized, although we do resource reserve audits every year using major companies, data management is often something that's really just glossed over. So we wanted a way to look into this deeper, I guess.
Yeah, so it's essentially, I guess it's almost like doing an audit of your geoscientific information management. So you're looking at, like you're saying there, you sort of looked at all your processes, you're looking at the people, you're looking at how your data is sort of being used. Can you tell us, were there some things that you discovered from the audit? I think when you talked about it, there were some things that you didn't expect to find out, but then there was also some really great stuff that came out of it. Can you maybe just give us some insights into what came out of that?
Yeah, I guess. So in terms of what we were expecting in respect to areas that we could improve, we mostly had a bit of a clue that those were things that needed to be focused on more, but it was great to formalize it, and especially to be able to look across sites using different technology and in very different cultures, just to get a across the board feel and in a way that could be compared. The one thing that we really weren't expecting to get out of it was the review of our geology departments, how they work and how they interact with different departments, how people feel about their jobs, how individuals want to get involved or want to contribute ideas. I guess that was the big surprise. We really thought going into this that we were just getting a very kind of consultant audit of our processes, and what we got was a great feeling for how our geology departments are working across the 3 sites that we visited.
That's interesting. interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, Jenni. And that must have been really awesome to find out that the people on your team were engaged and wanting to be more involved. So what were some of the challenges that you found out that you're facing at some of those sites?
I think, and some of the themes across the sites were the same. We do need to formalise our goals and objectives as regards to GIM more, and that's more coherently coming from corporate as well. That's not just down to each individual site, but that we can provide more clearer objectives and expectations. One of the big things that came out was making sure that and because we do at the different sites, we did have different technologies in place. One of the big things was making sure that we do have technology in place that's suitable for the job and that is sustainable, that can be used by everyone. People can learn easily and can keep on moving forward with it. Some of the other things that came out were where we have made good changes. Often we're just happy to have made those changes and we move on with day-to-day life with mining. But maybe it's good to go back, look in more detail at some of these things and build some internal case studies to show the value of GIM, especially for when it's required to move other sites forward.
I think that's a really fascinating observation, especially I think to be able to go back and sell the idea internally, not just, I mean, it sounds like that your management team understand that, but possibly at each site, the understanding of what those objectives are and expectations aren't as good. So internal case studies sound like a great way to do that, not just for now, but into the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're pretty lucky at Kinross that our senior management team in Toronto does value GIM and wants to promote better standards and move it forward. Every mine is different. In some cases, again, we do have really strong leadership with that. In other cases, not so. But the important thing is to be able to show everyone the value, not just say you should do this, but why, and be able to prove. And I think one of the big recommendations that came out of this is to where we have made positive change, let's document that. Let's use that.
Yeah. Do you think these problems are common for other companies, and do you think that they're able to recognize some of the solutions that you've got? Like, are other companies recognizing this across the board? Are they documenting it? Are they selling internally, or is this something you think Kinross is ahead of the pack on?
I think we're getting there. Other companies are going obviously in the same direction, but I think what we've managed to do is build it into more of the company as part of our standards. So I think that's been very valuable. In terms of other companies, I have seen it in the past where it's not been so well regarded, and that obviously brings different challenges.
Yeah, well, I think you should take credit for it, because I think sometimes the piece that we always forget in business is getting the internal buy-in and getting people in an organization to recognize when you're doing right. Because I think we focus so much on problems that keeping not just for good business practice, but also just for the morale of your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important, that people can see that there's development and that we're moving forward, and that themselves are getting opportunities and getting trained in different areas and being able to drive it forward. And I think that's one of the big things that we really do believe in. It's we have technical services in Toronto, but ultimately our goal is to empower everybody at sites to be driving that change themselves. Yeah,
it sounds, I was just about to say that it is, you're giving that sense of you are really having that empowering of your people and that culture around GIM there, which is really great at Kinross. I guess, Jenni, as well, from what you've just been telling us, you have been really successful in raising the awareness of GIM within the company. Do you have any tips for others who are sort of facing the same challenges around GIM or want to raise that themselves?
I guess perseverance, keep on fighting. But I guess you got to have an attitude of you just keep going, because you do hit some brick walls, and things take time. Like at some of the things we've been trying to do have taken 3 years of groundwork to get to a place where we're actually implementing a GIM. So yeah, perseverance, but also like what we're going back to is build the business case, like show the value, show it's worth it, because in our industry, you have to account for money spent, and we have to prove that GIM is worth it. Investing in a proper system and developing people to work with that system is of value to the business. So do the legwork to build that case and sell it to senior management or to the mine manager.
Jenni, one of the big topics that we're hearing a lot about in the mining industry, and also, and starting with exploration straight through to full-blown operations, is this topic of innovation. And it's a word that gets thrown around a lot in a lot of different ways, and has a lot of different meanings for different people. How do you think technology can help companies become more innovative?
I think right now it is probably the leading way, how mining is changing, how exploration is changing. I think by investing in worthwhile technologies, that it really can help push each company towards a more effective way of doing business.
Do you think data plays a role in that as well? Because data is, we're awash in data.
Yeah, there's no shortage of that. No, for sure. I mean, we are awash in data, and to be able to get that data, to be able to synthesize it and get it out to people, that can have a real impact in decision making. And I think that's one of the biggest things and where we're going is making sure that real-time data is available to the people that need it. And I guess another way where data itself is playing a role is, whereas in the past we kind of brushed off historical data, that's how it is. Now we're really going back and trying to make sure that we're handling historical data as well as we can. And I think that's changed even in the last 10 years, the regard of making sure that we are doing the best we can to today's standards, because there was previously a bit of an attitude of, well, it was good enough for a reserve 10 years ago, so it's good enough today. No, it's now changing. So, and I think, again, like the technology helps data become more useful, and that's ultimately what it is. It's making sure that the people having to make decisions every day and doing a job have access as they need it.
Yeah, and I guess if you're able to look at historical data and it helps you make decisions in the way you're doing business now, then it just speaks to the long-term asset of that data. So if you're saying you're looking at data from 10 years ago and still making decisions on it, then that's really interesting. Have you heard or seen any innovations that have caught your eye lately, or any new technologies, anything that's getting you excited?
I guess... Well, like generally, that just in our business, like the fact that we're now using drones for surveying stockpiles, it's made things a lot easier, and we can be a lot more precise about what we think we have. And then also some of the new blast movement technology, so that we're actually able to see when a blast goes off, how far specific material has moved. That's taking some of, again, like the guesswork and taking the guesswork out of it. These new technologies are making it possible to actually document day to day what's going on.
I'm fascinated with things like the drones and the. I'm glad you said the blast movement, because it's fascinating to watch it happen and watch it over and over just unfold. And you get to see things. At least the impact of things without having to be anywhere near it, and I love that part of it.
Yeah, and especially like previously we were always guessing. Now we can know, and we can know very cheaply, and like the money that you save by not misrouting ore and waste or different types of ore is huge. And I guess in the same way, some companies are using RFID tags to track different ore. It's fascinating stuff.
What do you think the mine of the future looks like, Jenni?
I think we're heading towards a more like interconnected mine, more interconnected departments. Already we're seeing the different departments, which have sometimes in the past been more segregating geology versus engineering versus survey. Although there was always good personal relationships in there, I think we're now managing to integrate systems within the departments and share data, share information, share knowledge way easier. And I think that's great. To be able to work seamlessly together can only be good. And some of the new products that manage to integrate that are heading in that direction.
Yeah, I think there's nothing innovative about collaboration. The impact that it's having on the industry right now is amazing. So, hey, thank you so much, Jenni. Your insight has been, and your experience has been really interesting today. You know, that's what we have for today. If you've enjoyed our podcast, please tell your friends and colleagues about it. You can find us on iTunes or hear it in our newsroom at acquire.com.au. Jenni, you've been a wonderful guest. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Misha.
You've been listening to Acquire's podcast, The GIM Channel. Find us at acquire.com.au.